Hey everyone, how is everyone doing? All right, let me just, as always, unmute myself here. Actually, mute myself on another screen. Here we go. All right. So thank you for coming this morning or this afternoon, just depending, or maybe it's even later for you, depending where you're coming from. This is our monthly online meetup. And today we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you how to build a report in Okta Workflows. So the plan, and it's very similar. I mean, if you attended any of these meetups before, it's almost identical. But this is the hello and the welcome. My name is Katz, and I lead community for Okta Workflows. This event is being recorded, and then you can access the replay right after we end the session on Crowdcast, just the same page, which is pretty cool, I think. But I will also upload this meetup to YouTube, and you can also watch our other meetups as well from earlier this year. I will also send an email message with a link to the YouTube recording and also some other resources that I'll mention today. All right. If you want to tell me where you're joining from, I always like to know where folks are joining. I am from San Francisco Bay Area. So you can just put something in the chat and tell me where you're joining from. If you're a soccer or football fan, depending where you're from, if you want to predict the semifinal, score, I mean, you're also welcome to do that as well. All right. Well, very good. So I don't see, let me see it. I know I saw one question there from Troy. So Troy, I'm going to, after I build the report, I'll get to your question. But I don't see anything else right now. All right. So let's actually start building a report. So, all right. So I have a folder here, creates a report with Google Sheets, and I'm going to create a new flow. All right, and we're going to call this create a report. And then I'm going to enable this option. And again, I always enable that, and I'm sure you all know what it does, but it allows to see the history. As the flow runs, we'll be able to see the history of how the data passes from card to card. Okay. Sheets. Is it? I wonder if it's the same name. It's different name. So we're good. Okay. So in general, what we're going to do is that we want to create a report. So when a user is suspended in an organization, right? So that's when we want to add the record to a report. So again, user is suspended. We want to, based on that event, we want to add that user to a report and then also notify someone and say, hey, a new user was added to the report. And also, in addition to just telling that person, hey, a new user was suspended, we also want to send a link to the report so that that person will be able to see all the other suspended users from before. Okay, so because we're looking for suspended users, so we're going to be using an event called, well, let me just click Add Event here. And I'm going to go to Okta, and I'm going to search. So user suspended. So this is the event that we're going to be listening to, right? So when this event happens in your organization, this flow will be triggered. So let's click that. Oh, you know what? Let me just check something. I want to make sure I don't have the same name. Something tells me I've used this. I have the same. Oh, no, different name. Okay, we're good. We're good. So this is the first card. Is usually, again, In most cases, it's going to be either an event card, some event happens. I see can't see the Okta screen. Can't see. So Abhinav, you're not able to see the flow editor right now. If anyone else, okay, so I see some people are able to see that. So if you're not able to see, sometimes what you can do is just refresh the Crowdcast screen. And then sometimes that can help. And then you might need to click play. There's a little play button on Crowdcast, and then it's going to basically bring you to where we're now. So try that. So, all right. All right, very good. Glad that it's working now. Okay, so this is the event that's going to trigger the flow. And now, next what we're going to do is we already have enough information right here that the information we're going to save into Google Sheets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add App Action, and then I'm going to search for Google Sheets. And now the card that I want is Create Row. Okay. Now there are different ways to choose a spreadsheet. One is to use a name. I'm sorry, use an ID or use a name. So actually, I'm going to use an ID in this case. And the ID, first of all, this is my spreadsheet. So I only have a display name. So this is really the username. This is the email, and this is the time when the user was added to this spreadsheet. Excuse me. But of course, you can add other columns as well. Now, the ID of this spreadsheet is right here in the URL. You just have to make sure that you copy the entire ID. All right. Let's go back. So I said use spreadsheet ID, and then I'm going to enter spreadsheet ID, and then I'm going to paste it here. And now, based on this ID, it will load the worksheets available. Now, I only have one, so I'm going to select sheet 1 here. And I'm going to click Save. Now, based on that, it now read the metadata from the worksheet, and then you can see there are 3 columns. I'm going to click Save. Okay. Now, what you can also do is, so one thing with this specific card is the ID cannot be, the worksheet ID cannot be mapped, right? So if you, it has to be entered manually like this. So what you can do, and this is just a good practice in general, not specific for IDs, is that there is a node card, right? And it's a good idea just in general to use this card to explain what the flow does. Right now, I'm going to paste the ID. But again, this is just to show you that you can actually write comments. And I've seen cases, or I've seen examples where, the first card after the event, like this one here, always added to a flow to explain what it does. And you might know what the flow does today, but if you come back to it in a month or 2, this could be very, very helpful when you can actually read what the flow does without needing to really go through every card and trying to figure out what it does. And of course, it also helps if a new person looks at the flow, right? They'll be able to kind of read what it does. So you can add text here, sort of, and write what the flow does. All right. So now let's save this information. Now, so this card already has enough information for us to save it. So first, date and time, and I'm going to connect it like this. Now I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to collapse this section. Now the alternate ID, I'm going to use this as the email. This is usually the email, and then the display name. Okay. Now, so I said there is enough information here in this event card. Now, if you need additional information, the next step is to actually use a card called Read User from Okta, which will read all the information about the user. Okay, so again, if this card doesn't provide enough information, and again, it does have somewhat of a limited information, right? That's really what you get, just these fields here. Let me show you. I'm not going to do it, but I'm sorry, Okta. And then read user. And so the user ID like this, and then you get all the user information. Okay, and let me see here, choose fields, and then you can see if you select choose fields, you can select additional information. There's some information that's checked by default, but then you can also select more. But anyhow, if you need really all the information that's available about this user, then you should use read user and not just depend on this event, because again, it does have limited fields which are available as part of the event. All right, let me delete this one. Okay, now let's see what else. Okay, now we want to create, so we're going to be sending an email, right? So I'm going to do two things here. Or at least the first thing is that I'm going to create an email subject. And for that, I'm going to use a card called assign. Okay. And so assign is like assigning a variable in a way. So if you need to have a variable available in a flow, so you can use the assign card. And I really like using this card, again, in a way, kind of a defining almost a variable. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one so I'm going to do first. I want to have this ID. This is just an example that you can save a variable like this, right? And second, I'm going to create, and notice I'm modifying these inputs here. Right? You can, of course, just keep the default one, but I'm going to say email subject. I'm going to say user, if I can spell, right? So now I've defined two variables, the ID and the email subject. Okay, so next, I'm going to create the email body. Okay, email body, so let's do that. So add function, and I'm going to use the compose part, and then we're going to say hi there, right? And then I'm going to say user, and then what I'm going to do is I need to say that this user was suspended. So what I can do is I can take the display name from here and drag and drop it all the way here, right? So that's kind of one way to do it. Now, I'm just showing you some additional capabilities here. You can also, if the flow is kind of a long, you can lock in the first card. And then when you scroll, right? So let me show you what I mean, is that I can do something like this. So it's a little bit easier for me to drag and drop. Now, what I actually like to do is, let me unpin this, is I can take this field from here. So I don't need to take it from the original source. Anywhere in the flow where you have the field, you can just take it and drag and drop like this, right? So I love this little trick where, again, you take the field that you need from anywhere in the flow. It doesn't need to be from the original place. And just drag and drop it like this, all right? All right, and then let's also add the email, and like this. Okay, and as I said at the beginning, we also want to include a link to this spreadsheet. So we're going to say, user is suspended. Okay, and then see all suspended users. Okay, so now the question is where we get a link. So to get a link, what we're going to do is we're going to add another card from Google. And this one is called read spreadsheet info. Okay. And again, we're using the ID again. And so save. Now, this particular card, and I know they're from the same Google Sheets sort of connector, but they work a little bit differently, is from the import perspective. So now this ID can be mapped. So what I can do now, instead of just hard coding the ID in a way, I can just map it like this, right? And now at least I can change it just in this place, and then all the fields will be updated to which it's mapped. All right. Now the URL, you can see this is what I need, is the URL of the spreadsheet. So I'm gonna. Okay. Now also the same way, like I've defined a variable here, email subject. You can also rename this. So the default value is always output, but it's a really good idea to rename. Again, once you have a kind of a bigger, more complex flow, I should say, it's better to give these more sort of meaningful names than just output. So to do that, you go to customize, and then you can say email body. Right? Right. Now the last step is to send an email, and then we're going to use Gmail connector, and then send email. So we're going to send it to like a test email. And now there's some other fields here, like from CC and BCC. So again, if you don't need them to be displayed, because I'm not going to be using them, so you can always go to choose fields, and then you can just check. Right? Well, we do need the subject and the body. So it just becomes a little bit cleaner this way. Now the email body is here, and the subject, and I misspelled the subject. I can see right here, suspended. All right. And that's all we need to do. So let's review this again. The user suspended event is triggered. Then we create a row in Google Spreadsheet. We just create two variables here, so just make it a little bit easier for us to use them later. We get the URL of the spreadsheet. Then we create the email body, and then we send an email. Okay. All right. So now let's turn this on. And now we can run this. So the email is right here. I'm just going to refresh, but I have no emails. And then this is the spreadsheet. I have nothing here. And we just need to get to our people in the directory. Let me see. It's up and right. Let's go to flow history. And we just need to suspend some users. Okay. So first one, I can suspend this user Mason, even though it's a suspending user action. We can suspend Mason and then suspend. Okay. And let's see. Now it does take sometimes, I don't know, 30 seconds, maybe even up to a minute for the flow to get activated. So let's see if we'll get it here. If not, we'll just run we'll suspend another user. Sometimes we can do something like this. I see no executions yet. All right, well. No, okay. Well, let's suspend another user. Let's suspend Alex. And suspend. Here we go. So it probably just took a little bit longer for the flow to get activated. So we can see Alex here, and then Alex has the email, right? And this is reading the information, the URL. But let's look at the spreadsheet first. Oh, I've got it twice for some reason. That's interesting. But I only see one run here. I wonder, let me go back here. Oh, I see what happened. I have another flow active here. This is okay, here we go. That's why I have two people. So I think what happened is Mason. Okay, so here's what happened. So Mason was picked up by the original, the first flow that I had, right? Even before I started building mine. So that's what happened with Mason. And then Alex, as you can see, was picked up by 2 flows. Okay, so it's working, but yeah, it's working as expected in a way. Okay. Anyhow, so we can see the information here, and now in the email, let's see what the email is. Oh, sorry, I need to change this to max. Okay. And the same 3 emails, because again, the other flow does exactly the same thing. But Alex, right? And then if I open, we can see the same. Okay. So let's go back. Let's suspend another user. One more, and that's it. So let's suspend Stella. And I should only have 1 flow active now. So suspend. And this is the one that I created. All right, so we can see in progress. Let me refresh. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Okay, anyhow, so now it's done. So Stella was suspended. If I go here, we can see Stella was added to the spreadsheet. And if I look at my emails, it goes back, because I went back in the browser. We can see that Stella right here was suspended here as well. All right. Well, very cool. That's actually all I wanted to show you. Let me go back to the flow. Right. So we built a flow, how to create a report based on this event. And then again, I showed you a few other little capabilities, like using the notes card, how to create sort of variables, and how to rename fields. Again, I highly encourage you to do that. Again, once your flow gets more complex, I mean, this is giving variables more context is definitely a good idea. And then how to do drag and drop, how to connect fields where you don't have to go to the original source. You can anywhere you see the field, you can connect. All right. So I know there was one question, but let me quickly go back here. And let me hide this. Here we go. So if you go to this link here, and I'll include this in the message that I'll send you, has all the resources from tutorials, how to guides, tips, office hours videos, really everything I think you need for workflows. And then if you have any questions, feel free to send them to me via email. Really anything. If you have any suggestions for online meetups, feel free to include that as well. Now I know there was one question at the beginning, and I'm going to read it now. And again, feel free to type any other questions if you would like. So the question is there a way to trigger, this is from Troy, is there a way to trigger an Okta canned report, such as the admin role assignment via Okta API or the Okta workflow? So I looked at the events, and I'm just going to try and add an event here from Okta. I could not find admin role assigned. Troy, I'm assuming that's kind of what you like to do, right? If an admin is assigned, you do something. So there, I could not find this specific event. Now, via Okta API, I'm going to check on that, and I'm going to include an answer for that in the email that I send, or I'll put it on my blog. I could not find such an event. So if I do admin, I don't see anything here. The only, I wonder if this could work, because if you assign a user to a group that has admin rights, and I wonder if this is the event that could help with that. But again, I'll check on that, and I'll get back, to you. So cool. Well, let me know if any other questions, and if not, thank you for joining today. I know we're just perfect timing. I mean, I like to keep these, at 25, at 30 minutes at most. And I know you folks are busy, and I think finding 30 minutes, 25 minutes is a lot simpler than finding an hour. Well, very good. I don't see any more questions. So again, thanks for joining today. Happy holidays. Happy New Year to all of you. And, we'll see you. Again, feel free to, ping me via email or Twitter or LinkedIn. But other than that, as for online meetups, we'll be back. We'll be back next year. Again, thank you. Let me see here the video. Bye-bye.